I love good books. I know that sounds like just like, okay, James, great. Have a nice day, everybody. See you later. No, I do. I love good books. I love books that take chances and are rooted in some kind of reality also. And this book has it all. You get to hear the perspectives from several characters throughout the book, which I thought was very interesting. Also, AI, we say those two letters, and people start just all kinds of reactions come out of this. And this book, there's a huge discussion throughout the book about this program that this man is putting together. And we're going to talk about that also. Then there's a family dynamic. There's a family dynamic that happens when someone's working really hard at a job and may not be there for their child. How's that child turn out? A marriage. Then there's also the other side of this, people who are fighting, who feel strongly about their beliefs in something. They don't want something to happen. Then there are just twists and turns, kids. It starts out as this huge kidnapping. And that's all I can say. I can't say the rest because I don't get in trouble. I want you guys to read it. But I'm telling you, this book is number 2 on Amazon's kidnapping thrillers. Okay. Number 7 in domestic thrillers Kindle, and number 9 in domestic thrillers books. It's oh my gosh. If you're watching me behind me, the Kidnapping Alice Ingold, but if you're listening, it's called the Kidnapping Alice Ingold. My guess, let me tell you about her a little bit too. This is kind of Cliff Notes version because she has a nice resume, folks. This is not her first book. She has like 6 other books out, and they're all standalones. Which I'm gonna ask her about that actually. They're all standalones. Like, why are they? But she has an Audible series, which I do that also here on this channel, called Young Witch Widows, which has a sequel. What's that about? She's also written for movies, folks, on Tubi, Deadly Estates, Midnight Hustle, BT, The Widower's Wife, and it's developed some in it for TV. So she's like doing TV, books, she's hitting all the multimedias. And a part that I also love too is that she is someone who's taking her experiences in the world and infusing them into her books. She is a biracial Jamaican and Irish American. She's a member of the Crime Writers of Color, Sisters in Crime, and the Authors Guild. We love organizations like that, of course. She has an MFA because she's smart too, kids. She has an MFA in dramatic writing from New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. You know what that is? Look it up. It's a really highly regarded school. Okay, and she had this BA from some university called Princeton. Oh, so kind of crazy. And she's also a mother. She's also a dog mother, and she's my new friend. And I hope I say this name correctly. It's Cate Holahan.
That's right. Thank you.
I did it. I did it.
You got it.
Hi, girl.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
That was your intro. That was your intro, girl.
Loved it. Loved that intro.
I told people, I was telling her before we came on, folks, we go in between the pages, in between, that I have things dog-eared, I have notes, and I actually read the books. This is my chance. I love reading. It's my chance to read. I sit on the subway. I get to read, just tune everybody out, whatever. Congratulations on the book first, Cate. It's really good.
You. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I gotta ask you, so because this book has a beginning, middle, and end. It's another stand. I kind of want to know more, but this is standalone. That's just me.
Yeah.
What is your choice? And before you get to the story, that you usually do just standalone books.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I do have the series that I write collaboratively with 2 other best-selling authors, and we're on book 3 of that. And book 4 is due. Probably we have to finish it in February, so that'll be my January. But a lot of times, part of it is the genre, is the fact that there is a psychological thriller bent to it. And sometimes it doesn't involve like a detective or, somebody where you can easily have a crime kind of come back. And so I think, when the book ends, sometimes that is the characters have arced and that's the completion of their story. I mean, this one, I do think we're pitching it in Hollywood now. And this one, I think, the ending of the book could be like the ending of the first season. And I do see something to go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to, I never want that thing where there's the same family bad things keep happening to, and you're like, what's up with this family? Like, why does God hate you? So, like, I just,
That's true. Yes.
or you're sitting there and you're going, what is it that this keeps happening? Like, clearly something is wrong with y'all. And so I wanted it, it's just so it's a different thing. I think it's easier when you write a detective or an investigator of some sort to keep up with like a crime of the book,
Yeah.
you know?
That makes sense. And you're right. You're right. Actually, there is, because I interview all kinds of authors stuff, and many of them have detectives at the helm. This one is actually very character driven. It's the family.
Yes.
I mean, they work co-workers, and I mean, there's just things in it, but like, you're right. It's not like all of a sudden, chapter 3, a detective comes in and almost dominates the story.
Yeah, I mean there is police because it's a
Yeah.
kidnapping and there would be police, but none of the police characters are point of view characters. It's all really the mother and then the daughter's perspective, you know.
How did you choose that? So, speaking of in between the pages, how did you decide to choose changing the first person in different chapters? I decided to do that.
Yeah, well, I wanted the tension of of being on the mother's journey of trying to find her daughter, not sure if her daughter's alive or dead. That's one of the issues with kidnapping, which is why I think in some ways kidnapping is the scariest thing for a parent because um as awful as it is, if you find out something horrible has happened to your child, it's awful and it's done and you just have to now grieve. And whereas it's the not knowing what's happening and you
Yes.
don't know if they're being hurt, if they're trying to escape, if they're already gone, right? And I wanted that, so I wanted the readers to kind of sympathize with her in that way. And so I wanted her perspective, and then I wanted the perspective of the daughter because she's the one that's actually kind of going through it, right? And so yeah, I kind of wanted those two things. And I wanted the daughter in past tense because I wanted the reader to not to know, well, she wrote this at some point, but we're not sure if she's still alive, right? So that doubt is there. And if I had written her in present tense, then you could kind of just skip ahead and go, well, in chapter 28, it still has her point of view. So I'm pretty sure she makes it, you know?
Yes.
And so I wanted to have that question hanging over the novel, you know.
And we're not going to tell you either or, folks. You have to read the book to find out. But I'm telling you, the twists are. I'm like, oh, okay. My eyes got bigger. We got some of those twists. Um, this family, the Ingolds are interesting. We have Brian, the dad, who's a tech guy who's working on these AI things that he's really feeling passionate about. Catherine, the wife, I'm not gonna say long suffering, but just kind of like that, just like she's just like, I mean, she's a typical to me Bay Area. I used to be in the Bay Area, folks, as maybe Bay Area techie wife who, she sees what her husband's doing and reaping the benefits clearly of the success, right? We'll get to that. And then Alice is the daughter, of course. She's a teenage daughter. There are other characters. Another major character is Sean, who's also very interesting too. A little older and a whole and that. I'm trying to watch myself because I don't give it away, but it's so what happens to everybody is so interesting. It's so good, you guys. You have to like it's a page turner. I'm telling you, you will turn the pages to be like, oh my goodness. But back to the family. I want to read this one little passage because I'm doing it here. I'll be doing justice. I lubricated my throat so I can read this. I'm going to read. It's going to be so, folks, because I don't want to give certain things away. I'm going to read a piece. Skip. It's like in the book. It's going to be skipping other thing and read. I'm reading kind of pieces at a point. So, well, please bear with me. This is homegirl's been kidnapped. There's a ransom. There's a whole thing going on. So the parents are Catherine is frantic. She wants her daughter. Hello. But Brian is like he believes in what he's. Let me just stop. Okay. It's ridiculous, Brian says, still debating with an imagined interviewer. Thanks to my technology, our country will produce trillions more over the next decade without any additional labor costs. People will likely be gifted these units by the government, courtesy of the taxes paid by businesses like mine. What do Alice's kidnappers want? The United States to abandon all this possibility while China plugs along? They want us all to work for authoritarian governments. Skipping down. Um, Remembering the line that calls remainder of this, there's a poem in there. Alice's kidnappers refer to techno serfs living in boxes. In their view, their micro studio is an opportunity for home ownership. It's a coffin, a place where dreams go to die. You need to fix this, I shout. Brian rolls around. My hand flies out as if I'm spasming rather than indicating my surroundings. These people are incensed that you're building these hobbit holes to live in while creating technology that does white collar jobs. Brian looks at me like he's Julius Caesar in mid March. I'm making it so businesses can remain competitive. They'll use this technology. Who will use it, Brian? Workers or business owners? Both. Beep. It's a word there. My YouTubers like it. He hesitates. Both. The hiccup makes me want to slap him. How many jobs will your tech replace? It'll create jobs too. Really? Really? I don't believe him, though I want to. To me, that's a relationship.
Yes. Well, I think, it's funny. I watch, so we've seen these stories where, like Elon Musk's first wife, Justine, and Bill Gates's wife, right? And all these wives after the divorce kind of write
Yes.
these articles in Glamour, which I
Yeah, of
read.
course.
And, they explain what it was like to be married to these guys and some of the things that they sacrificed with this idea that, well, but they're a genius and they're changing the world for the better. And so I will, kind of subordinate some of the things that maybe I wanted to do, and I'll focus on philanthropy and I'll just, take care of the kids. And it's not until kind of the divorce or shit hits the fan, excuse my language, that you see this change of, is what they're doing really for the benefit of the world,
Right.
or is it the benefit of them and their ego and, you know, amassing control underneath them, and not for all of these kind of altruistic, genius saves the world type of reasons that I've used to personally justify, the sacrifices that I've made, maybe in my marriage, in the career goals that maybe I had at one point that then I threw out the window because you can't have both people never home if you want a family, right? And and so I think that's one of the things that Catherine, the wife in this story, and the mother has to grapple with, right? How much has she ignored, and kind of believed, oh, but my husband is this genius changing the world for the better because, that's what she wanted to believe. And she's really forced for the first time to look at what is he actually doing, because people have kidnapped her daughter, right? And it seems that one of the things they're very upset about, as you mentioned, is what he's doing, right? And so then she kind of forces her to take this different perspective, and that also creates tension because her main goal is, let's save our daughter, and he has that, but at the same time wanting to preserve both his corporate image, his own image, and to make sure that the kidnappers don't want any corporate secrets or anything else. So.
And they go further, because that's exactly what she's doing, because she further says, I think of every technological innovation we've had in our lifetimes: phones, computers, 3D printers. The cell phone meant we didn't need telephone operators, but we got
Mhm.
people who designed phones in cases for programmed software for palm-sized computer. Like, she's going through it. She's like,
Right.
she's like, look, everything you just said. She's going through it. She's going, but he's right on some level, because we didn't need this, but he created this. I mean, I'm doing
Right.
a job right now that was just invented a few years ago. Podcasting. There was no such thing as
Right.
podcasting. You had TV interviewers, you had radio. That was it. Now I'm on
Right.
doing my own. So I mean, so it's right. So some things get shaved off, but it
Right.
can create other things. So my brother and I were laughing last night. We were talking about um, cell phones, and I said, I remember I had a regular Sony Ericsson phone with a little flip phone with a little antenna. And I remember when the first phones came out with with camera technology. And I kept saying, but I already have a digital camera that I spent $300 at Target and got. Now you take my pictures and you go set them and you develop the whole thing. He's like, but it's on your phone. And I remember I was just like, no, I already have it. Like, now I couldn't live without. I mean, hello. But it's
Right.
just funny. It's like, but those places now, those picture development places are gone.
Right.
It put us in charge of our own destinies when it comes to picture sharing. I mean, like, it's your book brings up you have several of those conversations in the book between characters that I appreciate.
Thank you. Well, because I was a tech reporter for a decade, and I covered technology. And so, sorry, I just said I was a tech reporter. I don't know why I repeated that, but anyway, uh,
That's fine. Yes.
but
You were, yes.
I was, gosh darn it, and so.
But yeah, we believe you. You were. Yes.
Chat GPT is not real-time editing here, folks. So, so, but one thing that I walked away from, and I got to interview like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and a lot of these people because at the time, the big public companies were like Microsoft and IBM, and so being a younger journalist, it was like, well, they're not public yet, so like you can interview them because
So fun.
there's nobody that's investing publicly where like you can necessarily affect the stock price and
Right.
someone's gonna, so they kind of let me cut my teeth on that. And what I found was there is this kind of founder culture, which I'm sure you know well coming from that area, where these people are kind of celebrated as geniuses, right? And I mean, it's the idea is kind of like, we'll worry about regulation later. We'll worry about who's affected later. Let's build it, and they will come, right? So let's build it, and kind of the market forces will work it out, right? And that is an attitude that I think is very real, and it's certainly in the character of Brian, right? He feels like, well, no, I don't know what jobs it'll create, but that's for other people to figure out. It'll create jobs. Trust me, it'll be fine. The computer, you know, and I read in my research for this, I read a lot of AI books, and even people in, you know, founders of AI companies are warn that there's a difference between having a tool that allows people to work faster and better versus a tool that can outthink you, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the future of super artificial intelligence. And then the other big question of it is just how do you compensate society when this thing is drawing off of the collective knowledge and creativity of the human race as we've all put in. And you I would argue you don't want just like the founders of the AI companies to benefit. That would be like having a library and you're paying the librarian, but you're not paying anybody who's created any of the books that
Right.
are going into the library. And so I think that that is something that maybe before we just assume market forces will figure it out, you kind of want to have those discussions of, you know, if this tech, how does everyone benefit from this technology? And how do we compensate the people that have created the knowledge that this stuff is drawing off of? And also, what do we do then about, and this is a big thing with a lot of the kidnappers, right, who are facing this, is how do you get your foothold in an industry when the first jobs that are usually replaced by technology are the entry level jobs, right? Because those are the easy ones. Those are the ones that they're half apprenticeships, right? It's like people aren't paid very well, but that's how you get in and you work your way up, and eventually you have a career that can sustain a family, right? But you have to enter somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that we're noticing, so I think that becomes the concern. And also the other concern is sometimes the jobs that replace the jobs are not as secure, right? So for example, when there was a manufacturing revolution that came to digital, a lot of those manufacturing jobs, yes, they were more dangerous and they had, downsides, but they had pensions, right? They had a lot of security, they had health insurance plans. They had, and some of those jobs got replaced by like gig work, right? Where people don't have those protections, right? There's no retirement fund, there's no 401k, there's no pension, there's no health insurance, right? Everything gets kind of put on the individual. And so there is a thing about the the labor sectors that you're replacing, and is what you're replacing them with something that allows people to live at the same level that they could before, right?
Yes. And in this book, there's a couple discussions in here too that reminded me of the fact that you almost touched on it a little bit earlier, just what you just said. Technology goes leaps,
Yeah,
but emotionality takes its time. So I
right.
always feel like we're leaps and bounds. Like you said, we've figured out how to save the world, so to speak, but in all the feelings, we're not there yet. So people feel displaced or feel upset or feel anxious or feel. I feel like that's something too when it comes to this kind of technology, because he's saying it's gonna be great, and there and the opposition is saying, but he's like little, you're making them work in these hard hours, these little tiny places like coffins. And I know the Bay Area, I know how places can look and how small they are and all this stuff. And I actually remember, I remember one year, I think it was 1989. I was trying to find a place to live in San Francisco proper, and it was 2% vacancy because
Yeah.
all the tech stars were all living there at first. They were living out of their apartments. And I found me this weird, it's called an efficiency apartment. It had no kitchen, for $8.95 a month. And it was like, and it
Without a kitchen. Yeah.
no kitchen, not kitchen. And I found it because I needed a place to live, and I got it. But it was just like, but that was the whole thing, is that technology was like leaping, and we were coming into money and evaluations. All this. I won't get into all those weeds, but what you're talking about is that we leap forward with these wonderful
Yeah.
things, but then the emotional, the spiritual, all those stuff is far behind. I think. Do you
And
agree
I
with
just
that at
think
all?
it's just a matter of like, when do we start looking at the consequences and how do you kind of direct things? Because here's a good example. I mean, the thing about the boxes, that was based on, there's actually a startup that is like essentially 3D printing these very small apartments with the idea that they're going to stack them up like Legos. I mean, it's a startup
Right,
that
right.
exists, and they're going to stack them up like Legos. And the idea for it was, oh, we'll put it on the campuses of these tech companies, right? So we can just take like our code monkeys and just put them in
Yeah,
these boxes, and okay, but and on one level, you could go, well, I guess that's a way to address the housing crisis there. But at the same time, do people really want to live, work, eat, sleep, and everything like on the campus
right.
of, you know, of where they work? Where is the separation, and what kind of society are you building if that's going to be the solution? And so it's those kind of questions that that's that's one of the jobs of art, right? Is it's not necessarily the tech companies that ask themselves those questions. They go, if we build it and let the market figure it out. And then I think the artists are the ones that sit there and go, well, let's talk about this
Yes,
before
yes.
we just let it run rampant, right? And when I wrote this book, I saw a lot of similarities between the kidnapping of Patty Hearst in
Yeah, you
1974.
mentioned it there. Yes, you mentioned it there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and today, because in 1974 it was the computer that was coming to the office,
yeah.
right? And so you had a lot of people, and it's in, Patty Hearst's letters to her parents and all of her diary entries that became public as she wrote as Tanya, where they talk about this fear that people will become irrelevant and replaceable, right, by machines, and what happens to humans, and what happens particularly to the middle class and the lower middle class, right? And I mean, over and over, there's that theme. And I think now we're going from the digital to kind of the age of super intelligent, uh, super artificial intelligence. And so those same questions are coming up. What happens to people, and what happens to income inequality, right? I mean, democracy isn't, in my opinion, sustainable if you have people that can literally buy the entire government,
Mhm.
right? That they can sit there and fund every single senator and every single representative's reelection campaign,
Oh yeah, oh
right?
yeah, right.
And we're getting to that point, right, where some people would say that we're already there, where a handful of people can do that.
Yeah,
And so what does that mean then for the rest of us who like to think our vote counts, right? and like to think that we have some say in our government, and that we live in a democracy. But what does it mean if you have some people that have such unbelievable wealth, and then you have other people that can't afford health insurance?
Yeah,
And is that the kind of society that we're okay with living in? You know, and so I I try in my book, the characters all have different opinions,
they do.
right?
They
I
do.
mean,
They
because they're
actually do.
coming from,
Yeah.
and that's partially where drama comes from, right? Is you have characters that have different wants and needs and you throw them together. Um, but yeah, that's all the backdrop, the political backdrop for this book.
Yeah, yeah, and you folks, it's not super political. It's not super. We're
Yeah.
just not talking about ourselves, Laura. But there's a lot of stuff implied in here, a lot of stuff talk. There's actually conversations. I read one of them. There's more intimate conversations, and it plays into the story. I mean, it really does play into the story, and you'll start to feel it as you're reading the book. You feel like you're there. You're starting to feel. You'll feel the. Well, I felt the surroundings. I felt I was there. I felt what was going on. Okay, you have this point of view, you have this point of view, you have this point. I started
Yeah.
seeing it and feeling it as I was reading the book. So congratulations on that. I'm gonna make sure I
Oh,
told you
thank you.
that. I really felt that. Can't mention that. So I was gonna say, so I can't mention that. I was gonna tell you guys the last half of the book, folks, it's a trip. I just want to make sure. I mean, I can't emphasize it enough. It was part of my favorite parts of the book was the last, I think I would say the last like 40 pages or whatever. Like my we're like I yeah. So I have a dog. Yes, I can't mention that. I can't mention that. I can mention that. Um, but I can mention this. It was weird because parts of the book I felt for Brian a little bit, and I didn't think I was going to.
Hmm.
Um,
Brian's the dad. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the dad. I'm sorry. Yeah, Brian's dad. Sorry, Brian's dad. I felt for him a little bit. Because you did write him very passionate about what's
Mhm.
going on for him, and now and so I was like, and I was just surprised by my feeling of that, just going, oh, okay, well, he wasn't just an out and out villain, at first. It was like you're reading it and going, oh, okay, it's like, okay, I understand that part, yeah, okay, I get that part and whatever, and you almost like, well, Catherine, you married him, so you should know, but like, there's a little bit of that too. You kind of feel like, well, girl, you married him, you worked with him
Right.
the whole time, you kind of know what this, is going on. You're part of a world in the Bay Area that I know. I know that world. You're part of that
Yeah.
world. That stuff like this could possibly happen. I'm not saying it's good or that you shouldn't feel upset, but um, it wasn't as cut and dry as I thought it would be. So
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer that when you write uh characters, everybody is the hero of their own story,
of course,
right? And so he's the hero of his story. He's bringing in a world that he believes in, right? And there might be some characters where for them he is still the hero of their story,
right,
right? Like
right,
um some some readers that might see that. I think that obviously the point of view is from the mom and the daughter, and one of the things that they're struggling with is the kind of the human side of it, and also she's struggling with how much has she sacrificed not only for him, but how has that changed her as a mother, always putting his job first and always and there have been tensions between him and the teenage daughter, and how has she maybe, when has she been a good mom? When has she kind of prioritized being like the good wife over being a good mom? And she has to reckon kind of with all of that, I think, over the course of the story. And the fact that her daughter might not be alive obviously brings it all into high relief and starts to make her question a lot of the decisions she's made. I mean, she's honest. I think there's one point where she says something like, it's I liked the fact that he's as powerful as he is. There is something intoxicating about being with somebody who goes, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to change things on a massive scale. And they're doing it, and you're in their orbit, right? And that comes with a certain power for yourself. It comes with a lot of privilege, and she is not afraid to say, like, that was part of it. That was part of the appeal, you know? and and I think she has to reckon with how much has she kind of let her own vanity and having that power and that privilege um, change her basic beliefs about certain things.
Yep, very true. Off camera, I told Kate half about the ending and everything. I can't say it here, but I'm telling you folks, you'll love it or you'll hate it. Either one or two. You'll either one. You're gonna feel something. You're gonna totally feel something. And it was very surprising and very interesting in the way it ends. And there's an ending. I mean, there's an ending, and you're like, okay, that's what we're doing. I could, like she said, I could see that being the end of first season 1,
Yeah.
because I want to see what happens. I kind of want to see what happens next. Like, without me saying anything. But if there is, but as a book itself, it is a standalone book. You get a beginning, middle, and you kind of get a middle, and end story. I mean, it's like beginning, right? It's kind of like you come in on it, and then you kind of it goes to the end. So there is an end. There's an end, folks. So you can see it, but but I can see it as something else too. It's just that good. I mean, this book now makes me want to, because I hadn't heard of you before. Now I want to read your other books.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Yeah, this is my seventh standalone.
Yeah.
So, and I would, it's funny. I think, as I always say, I write from a place of anxiety. So I think these are my current anxieties because I have teenagers, two teenage daughters who, at some
So
point,
sorry.
thank
I
you.
raised two daughters. I trust me.
Yeah,
You deserve a medal when this is all when they become adults. I'm just telling you. I love my girls, but I'm just telling you. Woo!
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. So,
Yeah, it's a trip. No, it's a trip. And here's the thing, girl. Because I know you probably feel the same way. You want these strong women, want them to become strong women.
right.
They
Oh yeah,
showed
and
me.
they are strong, and the first person they're strong against is you because they know that you're the parent, you're gonna love
Yes.
them regardless.
Yes.
So it's tested out on you first.
Yes.
And so there are times where I'm like, yeah, I want you to be strong, but I want you to listen to me because I pay the bills in this house,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
there,
Exactly.
there is that. It's like, but and I think also at this time, I have 14 and 15. And I'm starting to be at this point where, you know, you're questioning how much am I helicoptering? How much is too much? When do you back off? And I think that my character is a bit further along than I am, but she's kind of questioning all those decisions. Like, did I back off too much here when I shouldn't have? Did I helicopter too much here and kind of smother? And, um, I think all these questions we have when trying to create a person who's going to be independent and happy and productive in the world. And so I think those anxieties came in as well as my tech anxieties of what kind of job will my kids have? Will they be employable? Should I hold on to this house that I plan to, sell to pay for college because they're going to come right back? Like, I mean, all of that stuff.
Yes.
And but my prior books all kind of deal with different anxieties. Like my first book was Dark Turns, which dealt with kind of my fear at the time I was pregnant with my first child, and I was thinking, what if I bring someone into the world that's just bad? Like, what if she's just like a bad kid and there's like nothing you can do?
Wow, I love it.
And so I started to think about that, and I was like, and obviously my daughters are lovely. They're not bad children, but you hear these horror stories of like, I don't know, they were just a sociopath. They're like, they were playing video games in their room, the next thing, and you're like,
They think they're taking hamsters and taking them outside. They're like, what? Like, what's going on?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess so there was this anxiety there, and I wrote this story that deals with some very bad,
Wow.
uh,
I want to read that.
bad early teens. Um, and so I think that, yeah, it's kind of funny. I can read it and kind of see what I was thinking about. Or The Widower's Wife, it took place like in the aftermath of the financial crisis. And that really is a story about how far are people willing to go to hold on to the lifestyle that they've created? You
Wow.
know, that's the theme. But these are all like you deal with the kind of the anxieties or the theme of the story, and then you have
Yeah.
the twists and
I like
turns in the
I love
people.
it. I love it. Well, I mean, if your book's a twister like this book does, folks, I'm telling you, I keep saying page turner, it is. And what I like about this book though is that it really you get these conversations within the story. So you're reading, going, whose side am I on? And again, it's not as cut and dry, but the backdrop is their daughter is being kidnapped. So minus the base level of everything is where's my baby?
Right. Exactly. And for the chapters with Alice, it's is she going to survive?
Right.
Right. Because, at different points, I don't think I'm giving away too much. Like at one point, one of them is unmasked, one of the kidnappers, and that always creates a question like, now she saw your face.
Right.
Like, what are you gonna
Right.
do?
Right.
Right. So so hopefully that kind of is the engine that keeps the story going.
It's good, kids. The Kidnapping of Alice Ingold. Tell you guys, it's on Amazon. Run. You don't have to run. Just get on your phone. It's say good. Or if you're at a store, shit, when you're at a store, Barnes and
That's
Noble,
right.
whatever, go over there, get it. It's. Trust me, James. It gives it a 10 out of 10. I loved it. I really did. Like I said, without giving it away. Once you guys read it, tell me what you think. You guys get it, read it, tell me what you think. Because I'm telling you, it was good. So I really enjoyed it. And Cate, thanks for being on the show. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, thank you so much, James, and thank you so much for reading it. It's so exciting when you're like, wait, you read it? Like, because and I get it, because if you're interviewing authors all the time, that's a lot of books. It's a
Yes.
lot of time, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
I
Thank
love
you.
reading. So for me, I'm a voracious reader, and so I actually don't really read anything else now besides the books that I get for these interviews. But they've been very varied. I'm like, this is really interesting stuff. So it's my pleasure. And so anytime you come back, anytime any of the books come out, you come back anytime. If they want to find you, just like to converse with you or talk about books or talk about your books, where can they find you?
So I have a website, kateholahan.com, and also I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. I am not on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, because I mean, I think I reserved my name just to avoid spammers, but
Okay.
I
Okay.
do not use it because it's too aggressive for me.
I don't blame
And
you. I don't blame you at
I,
all.
we all have to preserve our mental health some way. And I was like, I'm not engaging.
You're all, you're all good. You're like, I'm good. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So follow her, of course. In between pages on Facebook. I'm everywhere you want to be, including TikTok, everything. James Lott Jr. at JLJ Media. I always end these shows because I'm just a huge believer on books and reading. They're not going anywhere. If it's not Audible, it's Kindle, it's paperback, hardback. People are getting physical copies again. Books aren't going anywhere, folks. And I don't believe in book banning. We talk about that on the show too. We don't believe in that either. Able to have access to whatever books they want to read across the board. And I'll support I don't care, I'll say it, diversity of authors. There are types of books, who's writing them doesn't matter, just support it. So if you see something you think looks interesting, get it. And read it and share it with somebody. If you think it's good, share it with somebody. Let them know. So I'm all about that. And go to your local libraries, get a library card. I have mine. There's also Libby online, which is like a library thing online. So so much stuff out there. Books are just, I think, are just the best. That's why I do the show, because I'm a huge book fan myself. So we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're not. And I'm James Lott Jr. Bye.